foreign rhythms coming into town. Everybody is happy about it. How do we just start? I hope you are getting me. This was the discussion that we had.
Okay.
So remember some years ago, if you tune a radio station is foreign. And there was the idea that we should engage GBC then at that time, so that we play some amount of local
percentage
against foreign. These days it's not there again. The ones that are performed are local, much more local than foreign. Okay, so these are policy issues that a board or the industry can decide to push to create and as it were promote certain works. You understand? The Swedish society, they have a big system where Swedish music is well. They have a different classification for it. The works that are performed carry different
classicals and those kind of music
to promote that their norms and traditions and those things will not die off.
But Mr. Jonathan, I have a problem if we say that high life is what we are talking about. If you are talking about Dua, Agbaja, so then I can understand. But high life, you mentioned rhythm. High life is not based on rhythm. You understand what I'm saying? So
you guys will decide.
You guys, he's saying the same.
No, I mean, you
guys. Because my sister Yakub plays is about it comes out.
It's true.
And I don't want to address it when it's over there. So I wanted a little advice on that because I know elsewhere those are 1 year classical of course. Classicals are. One upon crying baby 80. But I say what they not to quartet and why I bought the music. That's a different thing. But when we talk about high life now, if you check what the youngsters are doing, it won't be fair to them if he says because somebody is doing. If the person is Ghanaian, I think we should. I have the opinion that every music that has rhythm is ours.
All that you're talking about is to do with the distribution rules.
But we need to address it before it gets into our. Because if not, one day
we will address
that build the society. These little tweaks is what makes the society what we want it to be.
Good.
Other than that, like we are thinking, at the end of the day, you realize that you come to Ghana, you don't even know you are in Ghana because you don't hear anything authentic. But these little laws and these little things gives awareness to the composers. I was going through a 3-year plan, and I noticed that if we even do our work well, noise will be reduced in the country. Why? Because in the tariff, how the number of people who your sound is reaching to shows how much you should pay. And when I was very excited because there's a church right behind my house. When they start service, you can't do anything at home. I mean, but if we know that, you pay so much, if your noise goes this high, people will control themselves.
But Mr. Chairman, to add up to what she was saying, I believe that, that is a policy that we need to affirm on. Whether to agree or disagree, but it will go to our advantage because growing up as a kid, in Ghana, I used to listen to people like Ohineba Kisi, Pat Thomas, something yourself, my dad used to pick me up, I listened to your music. It might not be high life or whatever you might call it, but I always felt it was a Ghanaian music. And I want to learn.
Okay, let me use R2Bs for an example. R2Bs is done. I want to love the 6-8. Are we saying we are going to give them more for that song?
Oh, Chairman.
I say they are using a local rhythm.
Mr. Chairman, I wanted to, maybe talk and then maybe you can. I am looking at not just promoting our music but preserving what we do. So it might not, like you said, be high life, but anything authentic, anything that carries some Aboriginal trace should be identified as our own. And like you said, how many times do you hear muso 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 on our radio? Musicians who perhaps have more vocal, progression, more, I don't know, like want to go commercial with choral music have all fizzled out of the system because there is no ready royalty. So once we keep this policy on a high, it will encourage people to go to the stream and produce such music. So that
I agree.
Because in the
But
end,
we
they know that
already have that. You want new crow, anyone about Kitty as for. Our man for your composers, members of our CMO.
Yeah, that's Chairman. I think that I'm sorry. I don't know whether Chairman is getting me wrong. What we have said to you is that there is the need. In our last meeting, I said, young crow, this. Then we gave about 25, and we said, sit down, look at it, come out with a policy. We were there. Then when you give us the policy, we will use that as the basis. So we are not setting any tone for you, but we are telling you that this is a well-planned.
Where is Kitty and the rest has been?
Oh, there are more. They said a
technical committee will come.
what generation?
I'm come as much.
What is it?
I want to tell you what
Everything.
To me, it's highlights.
Yes, you have. You can.
no.
The way we sing is from the way we've grown up.
Yeah.
You can't hide from that. So whatever you sing, whether you base it on reggae, rap, it's highlight. Because you sing highlight melodies, highlight rhythms, and that's what it is. So if they're basing it on highlight, I think that's where we should look at.
Okay, this I needed to bring this up so that we get a little bit from like, but this we should still bring this up. We need to bring this up.
Well, I think
Was
whatever it is, as technical committee, we still need to classify our works. So we still have to sit down. Whatever it is, it's an international best practice. We need to do it to conform with other societies. So at least it keeps us abreast and at par with whatever we are doing. Because I don't think you can go to Sweden and earn more than ABBA.
No.
Is it possible?
Yes, it is possible. Yeah, I can go to Sweden and
No, to earn more than ABBA.
It's very possible.
No, I mean, I'm talking about the classification. When maybe ABBA might be a popular or commercial, but I'm talking about a traditional, like a traditional artist in Sweden.
I mean, we can't. No, but if I go to Sweden and I know that's
we're talking about
it goes mainstream, that's a possibility.
Leon,
Leon also.
Once again, it's not for WIPO to prescribe how you should classify your works. But what I can say is that societies around the world, I can't say all of them, but I would say many of them, if not most, when they do work classification, they actually take objective criteria into consideration, rather than whether it's a national work or not. And so that's the only advice that I will give the subcommittee that has to deal with this work classification issue. Is I know that you want to favour your local music and you want to grow the local music industry and the culture, and you also want to preserve that. I think each country in the world wants to do it, really wants to do that. But when it comes to documentation and classifying works, and when it comes to applying those criteria in your distribution so that you can weight royalty earnings, you have to be very careful that you don't discriminate against foreign rights holders, even though you desperately want to retain or as much of the money here locally as you possibly can. So therefore, work classification criteria normally relate to things like duration, how complex the work is, and possibly even genre. Is it a short little 10-second jingle on radio, or is it a 25-minute long jazz work or something like that? For let's say for a swing band or something. So that would be my advice: is to look for more objective criteria in order to weight and classify works. When it comes to your distributions, there are additional things that you can take into consideration if you wish. For example, on radio and TV, was it broadcast during prime time TV, in other words, when most viewers were watching, or was it broadcast at 1 o'clock in the morning when many people are asleep? So some societies do that, so they actually look at the time of broadcast or the time of performance, rather than is it a local work or is it a foreign work? I think where you can make a difference though is in your social and cultural work. You've spoken about the, I think Jonathan, you mentioned the foundation for aspects. The things that such a foundation should rather be concerned with, rather than just social benefits, which is more something that GAMRA as a sort of a mainstream CMO can actually look after in terms of its membership benefits, such as maybe a funeral benefit scheme or maybe a pension fund or something like that. But the cultural part, that is where you can actually make a difference and try and reward and stimulate local creativity and Ghanaian music and trying to preserve local music. And that's through the cultural encouragement of the national arts in the country. That would be a better platform to address it than to look at work classification in order to punish works that don't conform to a particular style in the country. Sorry for being a little bit
we can hold a competition for authentic Ghanaian art, promote that, and put funds in for people